Hello and welcome in, everybody. I'm Andromeda Astria, and today we're going to go over some stuff that I think is very important for beginning and just starting out actors to know. Now, all the stuff in this video is stuff that you don't usually hear from acting teachers or acting coaches or acting schools because the reality is they want you to pay them money. It is in their best interest for you to stay interested in acting and think that you can be a star / the lead. So, I am going to give you the information they won't give you, and that you will only find out later towards the end of your acting program or once you've started acting yourself, so that you don't have to spend all that money if you decide it is not the right career for you. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. Now, the first thing I want to go over is why you want to be an actor. What is it about acting that interests you? Because there are some reasons that are great, and I 100% say continue trying to be an actor, and there are some really bad reasons. We're going to go over both of those. So first off, if you just love acting as an art form, it makes you really happy, and it does not matter to you if you end up famous or not. As long as you get to keep acting, fantastic, go be an actor. You'll love it. It'll be amazing. If you love the community, because there's an amazing community around acting, whether you're in film, voice acting, theater, there's always a great community, and that is a great reason to be an actor. If you love variety, acting is an amazing career because you will never do the same thing 2 days in a row. It'll always be new scenes, new characters, learning new things. It's fantastic if you just love that variety in your life. The next one is, it can very much be an amazing escape. So sometimes people's lives aren't great at home and you really need somewhere to escape, and acting is a great place for that, and that is a good reason to be an actor. It can also help with personal growth. I know some people personally from my acting school who went into acting not because they had any interest in being an actor, but just because they knew it was going to help them grow personally, whether that was with their communication skills or their vocal technique if they needed to be some sort of presenter like a teacher, or I think there was someone who went into like international global business. It helps a lot with your confidence and presentation and things along those lines. So while you may not end up being an actor, taking acting classes and working on being an actor can help you a lot with this personal growth. Now we're going to come to our really terrible reasons. If your reason for wanting to be an actor is to be famous, go find something else. Go work on getting a viral TikTok. It'll be faster, easier, and much cheaper. The likelihood of you becoming famous as an actor is extremely minuscule, and don't pursue acting with that as your goal. The next one, and the only reason this is on here, is because I do know people who have said this is their reason, because you want to date an actor. Please do not become an actor because you think you'll be able to date some A-list actor. It's not going to happen. And none of those people that went into acting with that goal have succeeded or continued as actors. It's a terrible reason. But there are plenty of great reasons to be an actor, a few really terrible ones, and most likely if you're here, you're probably on the good reasons list. So let's go ahead and get into the next section. What kind of character do you see yourself playing? Now, this is really important, and the reason I'm putting this in a beginner's actor video is because I do know actors who thought that they would be playing the leads, and then once they graduated from school, they were told by agents and the industry that no, you're a little too funky looking to play the lead, you're not going to be playing romantic leads, you are a character actor, and they didn't want to be. They had no interest in being a character actor, they only had an interest in playing leads. So they ended up actually quitting, so they lost a ton of money from their acting training and lots of time, and they could have been doing something else. So what I want to be sure of with you guys is that you're not attached to one specific character. That you're in this for the joy of acting as opposed to wanting to be the lead, wanting to be famous, only wanting to play specific types of characters. There's a lot of great stuff in acting, and there's the ability for anyone to succeed as an actor, but that is only if your definition of success is being able to pay the bills with acting or semi-regularly acting. If your definition of success is being an A-list actor, realistically it's not going to happen, and it is better not to continue wasting the time and money on acting if that is your goal. Now, this is, I believe, the most important thing in this video, understanding the job. This is all stuff that they don't tell you when you're getting into acting school because they want you to spend your money there. They want you to go all the way through the school, pay for it, and then maybe later realize you don't want to be an actor, but they're not going to help you realize that beforehand. So one of the things I want to do is show you guys the reality of acting, because we see a very glamorized version usually, But I want to show you guys what the reality of being an actor is actually like, because this is stuff from my life, my experience, as well as friends of all levels. So this is not just like oh, little actors, this is what happens. This is what it's like to be an actor. In fact, the long hours get worse the more high level of an actor you are. First, we have long hours. Now, as an actor, you're going to be looking at somewhere between 8 and 14 hours on a standard day, whether or not you are film or theater. And that is just the time you will be actually on set or at the theater. Outside of that, you're going to need to rehearse your lines, your choreography, blocking, things along those lines. So the hours can add up quite quickly. Next is lots of rejection. You will be rejected more often than you are accepted. You will go to 100 auditions, and if you're lucky, you'll get 4 of them. There's a lot of rejection in this, and if it's not something you can handle, I know a lot of actors that thought they could, and then they got out of school, started doing the auditions, and the rejection just got too much for them and they ended up quitting. So do understand the level of rejection you're going to deal with this, and sometimes it'll be for terrible reasons. You will definitely be insulted by the reasons you're rejected. Some of them won't even be true. But do understand that you will be rejected a lot, and you're going to have to just get used to it. It will get easier the more you get rejected, but if you do have some sort of rejection dysphoria or an issue with being rejected, you probably don't want to be an actor, honestly, because there's no real way around this. Next is that you are never going to have steady work. This is just the reality of most types of art, but acting definitely. You will sporadically get hired. There's a reason actors get paid as much as they do for roles, because you never know when the next one's going to come. You may get 1 or 2 roles a year if you're lucky, especially when you're starting out. You may not even get 1 a year when you're starting out. Yes, there are some actors who are very lucky and they're in a theater company where they're guaranteed to be in a certain number of plays per year and they can make a living off of that. Again, there are actors who become regulars or guests on TV series, and the series run for a long time and they end up being able to be fine with that. But for the majority of actors, you will constantly be auditioning and you will never know when your next job will happen, and you could go a whole year without any work. So if that is something that is okay with you, then of course consider pursuing acting, continue on, perhaps get a second job and work both of them at the same time, but do understand the reality is you will not have steady work. Now here is one that nobody really tells you, but you will be missing events. Unfortunately, if you're an actor, acting has to be your priority. This means you will miss weddings, you will miss funerals, you will miss graduations, you will miss birthdays, you will miss your partner's birthday, you will miss your own birthday, because the reality of acting is you can't take days off. It is a booked for clumps of time kind of job, so you are not constantly working. You will have months where you're not working, but you can't decide when those are. So if you have a big family trip planned for next October, you can't book that out. You can decide not to take roles during that time period, but if you get cast on something big, you're not going to be able to get that time off. That's not really how it works. So if you are the kind of person who wants to be able to attend all those events and that it's very important for you to have time off when you want to have time off, definitely don't be an actor. Even amateur stuff, even if you're just in local theater, again, you can't take Tech Week off. If you happen to need one of those days off, you can't do it. So any sort of acting, you're not going to be able to take time off. So just understand this going in and don't be surprised when you do get to it and you book your first role and there's a wedding, a family's wedding comes up and you ask them for the time off and they say you can drop the role and go to the wedding or you can miss the wedding, because that is how it works. Now the next piece is something you're just going to have to get used to. You will be judged on your physical appearance. I know we all hate this, so we want to say everyone is beautiful and fantastic looking, but when it comes to any sort of acting, you will get rejected because you don't look right. You'll be told that you are too thin or too fat. You'll be told that your hair is the wrong length or color. You'll be told your eyes are wrong. You'll be told your teeth are wrong. You'll be told your skin is wrong. You'll be told every single piece of you is wrong for a role, and you kind of just have to get used to it. You will also be told sometimes that your physical appearance is what got you the job, not your acting skills. So just understand that as actors, your physical appearance is probably about 70% of the reason that you're getting hired, if not higher than that. And you just got to get used to it. Now, acting is an extremely emotionally demanding career in a couple of different ways. Number one, of course, is the characters you're playing. Now, you can kind of decide which characters you play, and if you don't want to deal with super dark material, you can reject those. But there is that version where you're dealing with the dark material as an actor. Then there's also just the fact that you'll be constantly auditioning and constantly being rejected. Your friends you may be going up against for things, and you have to be happy for them getting a role that you also auditioned for and really wanted. So it can be a very, very emotional environment, and just make sure that you're prepared for that and that you can handle it. This is one not a lot of people think about, but the complete and total lack of privacy. Once you become an actor, everyone wants to know about your life and your business, and people will find out. Even if you have a stage name, usually people can find out a whole lot about you, and this is just a part of the reality of being any kind of actor, and you gotta learn to live with it. Last is something we don't really talk about that much, but being an actor is actually quite pricey. You have headshots, which you're going to have to get done every about 2 years, maybe a little bit longer the older you get, maybe more often the younger you are. And those can run you between about $100 for a very, very cheap headshot photographer to around $1,000 for a very good one. So that is an expense you're going to need to plan in. Now, on top of that, you're going to need to print these, and you're going to need to print your resumes, because you will be needing to hand in 1 to 2 of those with every audition you go to. Now, on top of that, you may need to buy more clothing for roles you're auditioning for, because while you don't want to cosplay the character, you do want to wear something that will suggest this character to the people in the audition, so you may need to be buying new clothes fairly often. Now, you are also going to need to be taking care of yourself physically. That means you're going to need to have makeup. No matter what your gender is, everyone needs to have some makeup they can wear to auditions. Then on top of that, you're going to need to have something to take care of your hair. So this is going to be haircuts fairly regularly. You're going to need to take care of your skin. That'll be whatever you need to take care of your skin personally. Make sure that you have a clear complexion for the most part, especially since you're going to be wearing a lot of heavy makeup. This is something you need to be taking care of. Also, a decent diet to give you enough energy and keep your body in good enough shape. This doesn't mean you need to be thin, just make sure that your body is capable of doing the acting, so you need to be physically fit enough for that. And all of that can add up quite a bit. Now, this is not even mentioning the classes you need to be taking. If you are an actor, not only do you need to be trained in some way, which means some sort of base study, usually a university degree or a conservatory degree, but even after that, you're going to need to keep taking acting classes. You're going to need to take singing and dancing classes, possibly fight choreography classes. There are all sorts of things that are going to get very pricey. So understand what it's going to cost to be an actor. This is not a low-cost job. You put a lot of money into it, and if you're not getting roles, it can add up very, very quickly. Now, none of this is to say to not be an actor. What I want to give you guys is a very realistic viewpoint on some of the specific businessy sides to acting that they just don't tell you when you're first starting out, so you can know if this is something that you're actually going to enjoy. Finally, some of the best advice I've heard from many, many actors of varying different levels is that if there is anything else you can do, go do it. Acting is a very tough career to have. It is very emotionally taxing, physically taxing, taxing in all sorts of ways. So unless you are absolutely positive that this is the only thing that will make you happy, I do definitely suggest maybe making it a side thing or rethinking it entirely, because this really has proven to be true for everyone I know who's an actor. Anyone who had anything else they could do did end up going off and doing that other thing, because acting really is something that it needs to be the only thing that matters to you. It needs to be the most important thing to you. It needs to be something that you are willing to put above everything else, sometimes including your own mental health, although I don't think that's necessarily a good thing. But understand the level of commitment you need to acting if you're really going to make it as an actor. That is all I have for you today. Hopefully many of you went through this whole video and said, that doesn't sound so bad. All of this is totally worth it and I absolutely want to be an actor. But for those of you who realize that maybe a couple of these pieces might suck a little bit, I am very happy to have provided you with the information. And I do hope that whichever camp you ended up in, that you have a wonderful rest of the day and that I will see you back here for the next video.